today this is Pheo and Bash reviewing our buildings. So, we thought it was about time for a review, and this is a structure that we displayed first. It is our castle on the lake. As you can notice, it's got 4 strong base supports and numerous columns coming up in the undercarriage, and we used it to support a large platform and a house on top, surrounded by 4 towers. The entire base is surrounded by moats, trenches, and spikes. Now, what castle would be good without a road? So we built a road from the edge to the castle, and here it is at night. As you can see, the multi-tiered towers give you, places to fire from, and we've got good lighting on the road and out on the lake, and you can basically defend this very well from just about anywhere. And we went with concrete, so it's a nice sturdy material. Now the zombies will come up here when they try to fight, and they'll just sort of dance on the edges of those ramps and then just fall into the spikes. It's hilarious. So anyhow, looking around, we built a little house up here, and little guide stones. You get a look inside the towers. They're pretty bare, but bare bones defensive. You can shoot out from here, or you can shoot out from the platforms up above. Just looking around. This was a fun building project. Pash had no idea what I was gonna do, and she said, "Well, what are you putting out all those things for?" Because to start, I built the 4 towers on the outside. I marked out my place, and I actually did this. I did use the cheat menu to get materials, but I poured each cement block, so it took quite a while to build. It was a lot of fun, and you could watch it going up, and just went up, up, and up. And when I was actually doing the undercarriage of the house, I realized that the wooden blocks that I wanted to use only held so far, so I went back down and I designed out all those little pillar supports so that I could firmly put the house on the pillars. And you notice it's got little cement bits going through there, and those are there because that was about how far I needed to put them apart to make sure I could support all this weight. Pash designed all the decorations and the comings, and we've got this little walkway here of metal siding. Looking around again. Underneath here is really cool. The trenches are filled with water, but there are also spikes underneath them. And you see each of these columns here. The zombies don't usually make it down here. And the house itself sits on that 3x3 cement column, and the rest of the ground is supported by the other supports. And at one point we considered actually putting a garden up inside the up on that platform there. Now looking back, that's our castle on the lake. And number 2, here is our tower. Now this is our tower defense. This is the second building that we profiled, and we decided to build this one, through regular gameplay. It is built entirely on materials that we acquired, and it's about the 3-week mark. The building is made out of cobblestone, and we've got a nice little pillar there that we use to walk over and to the entrance on the 2nd floor. We've got sandbags there around the bottom because, well, Pash likes to break her legs. Now you just pull out those little, that one little space there, and the building becomes defensible. It is surrounded by a trench with spikes in the trench and a layer of spikes around the base. So even if they get out of the trench, there's another layer of spikes they're sitting on. As I said, this building is constructed of cobblestone, and cobblestone is very sturdy and pretty easy to get. There's our little farm out there. We got everything we could need. And we put lampposts out at regular intervals so we could see the zombies coming. That was kind of the main reason to build on the lake, just so we could see the zombies from a long way off. No hills, no real obstructions. You know exactly where they're coming from. Now, looking out here, you can see this is one of the regular lakes in Nav's game, and I think the tower just has kind of a nice oriental feel to it. Here it is at night. Now the tower itself I think is pretty well lit up, and we've got a lot of light out there on the lake. It provides good illumination to shoot the zombies when they come. As you can see, the zombies make it into the trench and they just sort of go away. You hardly have to defend it at all. It's good to shoot the cops, but other than that, you're pretty much set. So this is our standard tower defense, and it works really well, and it's the second building we feature. We're going on to the next. Going on to building number 3. This is a standard fort, and it's really the first building that I constructed in the game. And as you can see, it's got wooden walls reinforced in areas with the iron scrap, and we surrounded it by a double layer of spikes. That's on the outside wall. And then you open up here into the door. One of these days we'll open up the door. In we go, and there's an inner wall and a inner layer, double layer of spikes. So even if the zombies get through the wall, they've got a lot of fun left to continue with. We've got torches all around, and I just feel like the spike defense really worked, and it definitely showed some good times. Now that little bit of muck over there was where a spider zombie actually managed to climb its way in, and we've got a little more spikes on the inside. Now, on the wall, I built these little shooting platforms on the edges, and they actually go over beyond the length of the wall, so you can shoot the entire length. So it gives you a nice line of sight to shoot at the zombies if they're actually on the wall. The building, it was a first attempt building, and I don't think it went too terribly bad. You notice the zombie sitting out there. It's not quite sure it wants to go after the spikes. Just sort of wandering around. Now this particular defense can last a good long time, at least 3 or 4 weeks. After that, the cops just start blowing the heck out of it. Now the inner walls and the outer walls are connected. You get a look here from the entrance. And we thought about putting a farm there, but we ended up moving after this particular video was made, so we didn't end up putting the farm there. We actually had to extensively dig out a lot of the terrain outside so we could actually make this viable. But it was a really good fun learning experience, and this was the third base we featured. Next up, we've got our octagonal tower. Now, Pash was really on me because we kept building square things. Square things, square things. She said, "Can't you do something besides square?" I said, "Sure." And I say octagonal because that's the way Aussies say it. And looking around, it is a concrete tower, and it's got a base unit of 3. So each of the sides are 3 units long. 3 across, 3 slanted, 3 across, 3 slanted. Now we get in through a nice little box system here, and I surrounded the entire area with spikes, so it is fairly defensible. And looking around, somebody forgot to take the box out, and a zombie came and visited us. But you have a fair amount of space in here. Got the walls here. I didn't need quite as much support as I put in, I found out later, but that's what I started with. Looking out, we made this nice desolate gray tower out in the middle of the boonies, and you notice each stage is tiered up, so it goes in 1 unit each time, and it comes up to a point, and here's our little octagonal tower in the middle of the wasteland. I like the little capstone on the tip. I put it right on the road here, so it's got a good view, and I think the ambiance is kind of cool. That's it for building number 4. And here we are at the halfway point. Looking up, we've got our next building, building number 5. Now this particular building is a variant on the fort, and this building actually came into being very quickly. It was inside 2 weeks before we got it up. Now Bash had a lot to do with this. She farmed like crazy, and we did wood walls and a couple layers of spikes, and we made it out of cobblestone. Now this was standard gameplay, So no cheat menu was used, and it's pretty effective, and it was fairly decent for what it was. Now the outer rings, we've got just basic spike defense, and we've got lighting inside with a good kill field. And this particular building, it just has a nice wide open area. I like wide open areas to build in. It gives you a lot of time to shoot the zombies on the way in. Looking around, as you notice, we've got 2 layers of spikes on the outside. We've got the first one here to damage them a bit, and we wanted to damage them and slow them down and then kill them on the way in to conserve ammo. At least that was the thought. Got a little ramp here, and as you can see, we've got a layer of spikes and then an elevated layer of spikes here with a pit. And that's where that idea came from. And when we were building this, this is when Pash actually talked me into starting up a YouTube channel. So it was kind of halfway through, and she said, we should really feature some of these. People might like them. So that's what we did and when we did it. And you notice the cobblestone tower. I really like the cobblestone material. If you haven't tried using it before, you really should. It is quickly farmable. It's from sticks and clay and grass and rocks. You can get it anywhere. And it is far, far superior to upgraded wood. I mean, it is almost as good as concrete. I mean, it's, this one may not be huge to look at, but it's a very solid base. And, it was a good experiment. Looking back, it was kind of fun. So next up, here it comes. And here we have our experiments in cubism. So we decided we'd built in the plains, we'd built on the mountains, we'd built in the forest. How about let's build in the snow? And we wanted to go with something with a little bit more modern feel. So we decided on a modern estate, built mostly of brick and varying degrees thereof, because you have a lot of different choices in brick. Now we put these little towers around the outside. It's sort of like I said, it's a modern estate. It's squared out pretty well, and you've got the treed walkway, and you're out right on the road, and you've got this nice brick fence with steel tips on the top, nice little spikes. Now the only bad thing about brick is zombies go through it like wet toilet paper, but the building itself looks really cool. We inset the entryway either 1 or 2 units, depending on which of these little boxes you're looking at. And we pulled some glass out of the cheat menu and used that to, really make it pop. The regular windows don't look so hot, but they've got some glass in there, building glass that really does look nice. Coming back, we'll take a better look from the front here, around the outside. And, I put in a courtyard, and you can just see the different area and decorated it up a bit. And there are towers at each of the 4 corners. Just that'd be a guard point at a, nicer house. And the entryway, we put some plants on there, made it look nice. But the architecture was really nice, really interesting to put in. Got the little brass lamps on there. And as you notice that we've inset the windows, and it looks nice and modern. It's still kind of boxy for my taste, but it was a fun little experiment. Here's a view at night. Walking around here. I like the spikes on the walls. It really sets it off. I had some big gates there, but Pash didn't like them, so she tore them down on me. And as you can see, it goes nice and wide around. We wanted to have a nice open front yard. Now the snow is an interesting material to work with. A single attack breaks it, so gotta be careful if you're building up here. And looking at the building, back and forth along the sides, that is pretty much it for building number 6. Lucky number 7 coming up, and this one's one of my favorites, guys. Looking out, we've got our bunker and garden. Now, the main building here is a bunker, And it just kind of looked funny, so I covered it up with dirt and thought, well, let's try something different here. Let's landscape a garden or a park. And Pash was all in for this project. So we put a little white picket fence around it, and we planted in some trees and such from the cheap menu, grasses and flowers. We set up a little camp in the middle, made a waterfall, and just you can see the trees swaying and going through. The campfire really lights it up pretty at night. It was a lot of fun mixing textures into the ground, and just using sand and decayed stone and dirt, and then planting here and there. It was just a lot of fun to do. I think it makes a great profile, and it looks like a nice restful little park just in the middle of the plains. And you might think this looks like just a little cabin in the plains here, but you come in and you notice it is steel reinforced concrete with murder windows sitting out the sides. We've got spikes in the trench, and if you haven't tried breaking down one of these concrete covered in steel, you might find that it takes a while. But underground, we've got the real base. So this is a full underground base constructed by Pash and I. We dug down to the bedrock, or the foundation rock here, got all the dirt out, and actually made us a little base underground. We've got plenty of crafting stations and lots of storage. And, decorated a little bitty cozy home place. You can see it in here. It just feels really well contained, and it just really felt contrasted well by the garden outside. The whole project was a lot of fun, and it really was one of my favorites. Bar none, however, we're coming up on my real favorite, and that will be building number 8. And here we've got our water tower. Now this was my favorite, bar none. This building, we got to play with concrete and wood and supports and water features and decorations, and it just was an enormous amount of fun. Now, we started with a octagonal tower, and we didn't actually make it collapse in. We actually took and did a straight octagonal tower straight up. And you can look around the base, and I wanted a couple offset towers to the sides, but I didn't want to actually make a, full-sized base. So I did a 3x3 unit, and I moved it up, and I used supporting undercarriage there, and you might notice that we just went up the waterfall. There are no stairs, there are no blocks to take in and out. The only way to get in and out of this base is by swimming up and down. And not only that, the only way to get between floors is to swim up and down on our water elevators. Now the basement, just for kicks, we sort of turned it into a reverse aquarium down here. Put little plants in there. It's kind of a calming looking room. But you notice that we can swim up to any floor in the tower, right through the middle. No stairs, no ladders, no hatches. It's just cool. Going back out. When you're ready, you just step into the water and let it take you right down. Now you can go down naturally about 3 floors before you start to drown. So, perfect. The entrance is 2 floors up. If you get tired or you're bored going down, you can always step out of the elevator a little early, and it's not a problem at all. Now this building incorporated features from a lot of our other buildings, but I think they look a lot more refined here. And as I said, I love the way the water falls down. Now we did banding on the right and left hand side, and we did stripes up the middle, and we've got water falling from just about everywhere. And you notice we really supported the floor, and just using that nice 3x3 with a little support higher up, it gives it a different profile on the water, and just it really makes for a visually stunning piece, in my opinion. The tower is pretty tall, and you can see the interior really matches well with the exterior as you're going up. Just can't say enough good things about the building. I really liked making it, And you notice that the water comes from a central point on the top of each tower. And I just pulled out the blocks and the water started spilling out properly. And here it is at night, looking with the moon behind it. I just love the profile here. It's all around, as I said, my favorite building of the entire lot. Doo-doo-doo, from the side. And here we go, last looks. And we will be moving on to building number 9. So we've brought you all sorts of defenses and ornamental buildings, but we haven't built a non-building building. So that brings us to number 9, where we have constructed a bridge. Now the game has a number of interesting features, including bridges, but we thought they were kind of lackluster. So not only did we do that, we built a nice little slideshow showing how we built the bridge step by step, moving it up the ladder and through each of the degrees of our building. Now, I think it came out really well here, and it's a nice smooth animation, and the bridge itself, I think it'd go well in just about any city. It may be a little bit too much for the countryside, but it's got a nice profile to it. It's got a lot of steel in it. You got steel, concrete plated steel for the towers on the outside, and metal trussing on the inside. And I used some ramps from scrap iron ramps to make it look like cables on the top. We used concrete ramps to get up to the sides. You notice I had to use those little steps to extend the length that you can make the metal trussing go without falling. Now this is just a quick look at how the bridge looks, how it works. It's a very sturdy object here. Now this is the last building we're featuring, and I'll say now, if you liked any of these here and haven't taken a look at the regular video that they contain, you should go back and give them a look. But this is just a review and a walkthrough of all the buildings so far that Pash and I have featured. We've had a lot of fun making them, and we're thinking about making more. If there's anything you guys want to see, let us know in the comments, because we'd love to give it a try. Now, the bridge itself here has just a little army base as a decoration over at the side, and we had a lot of fun doing that too. We just filled it with sandbags, spikes, whatever. It looks kind of cool. But anyhow, so we've reviewed all our buildings for you now, and if you are so interested, you should really go back and take a look at everything that we've done. And if you want to see more great content in the future, you should like and subscribe, and we will see you when we see you.